whoa, that is so profound when applied to what we're talking about. Roy had said that Larry Grayson had told him this story, that in the days of the music hall type theatre, or the last vestiges of it, Larry was in an all-male show going around Britain, and he was the woman in it, because he used to dress up as a woman, Larry. And the final scene of the show, the final part of the show, was all the men ran on the stage dressed as sailors, singing Rule Britannia, you know, Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves and all that stuff, you know, Britain, obviously rule everything. Anyway, so as the song's reaching its climax, all these sailors climb on each other's backs and form a pyramid on the stage, right? Mm. And then Larry Grayson came on, dressed as Britannia, with the gown and the helmet and the sword, and was manhandled up to the top of the pyramid of these men, you know, with the big finish with the sword. And he said one night, things seemed to be going rather well, he said, until one of the sailors in the bottom left-hand corner got a cough, right? And the cough got worse and worse and worse until he couldn't hold his place in the pyramid anymore. And he's standing on the stage at the bottom of the pyramid, this guy, you know, Ethel Jones and Charlie Smith. And in the end, he couldn't hold it anymore because the cough got too bad. And he had to step out of the pyramid. What happened was Larry Grayson, at the top, symbolic of this Illuminati, ended up in the second row. Because the whole pyramid collapsed, because one little guy on the left-hand bottom corner got a cough.
Lovely.
You know, the pyramid power, in one way, is all roads from the base of the pyramid lead up to the point of the pyramid, and that's how they control.
The thing that I would like to connect up with here, it's so interesting what you're saying, and we passionately agree with your thesis here. And one of the things which I love about your work is that it's like, in order to control, or rather, one good way to control somebody is to lie to them. And therefore, if somebody, you know, if you're being lied to, then someone is trying to control you. These things are intimately connected.
Right.
And we are being convinced that this reality is all that there is, that these are just animated hunks of meat that last for 70 years and 10, and then that's a lot, and then either we're pushing up daisies or we go to heaven or go to hell, which is another trap and another lie.
Absolutely.
And meanwhile, there's some fascinating things going on behind the scenes, and as you must have known from your own research and your own contacts and your own conversations, that you've got a magical component to the controllers, meant in the real definition of the word magic. Black magic ceremonies, rituals, sacrifices, all kinds of things that you and I don't want to know about, but actually this is part of the truth of the matter. This is what they do. They evoke jinns, they do strange things, they influence people at a distance.
I did an enormous amount of stuff about that in the late 90s.
And it's not pleasant to look at, and it's real. And then there's another aspect of this, which is something that's been coming at us quite a lot from Black Project's insiders, which is not the black magic, but the black technology, which was well stated by Richard Hoagland, who told us that he'd had a phone call from an insider who said that they would rather lose an American city than give up their new physics. And this new physics, we were told by somebody who we met in Thailand in October. We've given him the pseudonym of Jake Simpson. We know the guy very well. He said that the state of black physics at the moment is, when I say black physics, it's like secret physics, as in black operations.
Yeah.
Those guys are not all evil people, but they're on the inside. And they're playing these games with all the resources and all the knowledge that is denied the public domain.
Right.
10,000 years ahead of public sector physics, let's say, accelerating away from public sector knowledge at the rate of 1,000 years a year. And I checked those figures with him. That's a lot of zeros. 10,000 years ahead. And he told us, for instance, that the technology exists to phase shift soldiers, special forces soldiers, so that they can walk through walls.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Which is quite...
I've heard that.
You've heard that?
Yeah.
That's, it's an interesting corroboration. These little stories pop up here and there in different researchers. And
I think the thing is, Bill, that the reason for the vast acceleration is there's a critical point where you understand reality, and from that point the potential just absolutely soars. Whereas because of the suppression of science in the public arena, they're nowhere near yet that line where the potential soars. So in the secret projects, they've crossed that line, and therefore they're accelerating away at the rate you talk about from mainstream scientific understanding.
That's exactly right.
And they're working with interdimensional intelligences to have gotten to that place.
Absolutely
That's
right.
It's really a key, and ETs, negative, service to self, ETs, basically, that they're, working with. And certainly becoming aware of the veil behind the veil, because you can talk about consciousness and mind as we have here, but if you want to lay out, if you want to understand what's really going on, you do have to talk about ETs, and you have to talk about interdimensional entities, and also entities that don't have physical bodies.
Sure, that's what I was saying earlier. We've got to do this on all levels, because it's operating.
And the
on all
best
levels.
presentation which I heard of the answer to one of the most important questions, and I can't remember whether it was yourself or Jordan Maxwell, or perhaps both, who said, how could humans do the things that they do to other humans on this planet as they seem to really be doing? How could we be trashing this planet, our home, in the way that we are at the behest of the controllers? How could humans be doing this? And the answer is that actually they're not human at the highest level. Is this something that you said, or was that?
Oh, that's a theme that I've been talking about for a while, because this reality, we keep talking about different levels, this reality operates on different levels. You've got the wave vibrational level, you've got the electromagnetic level, you've got the visible light level, and you've got the digital level. And when you talk about the level of advancement and potential that you mentioned earlier, it is a cinch to, if you look at where the development of artificial intelligence is moving now within this Stone Age level of awareness, you imagine what is possible at the cutting edge of the secret projects, and even beyond that in the realms of the non-human levels of this. And they have, without question, the ability to create artificial intelligence that looks to in the decoded world, because I'm decoding you now, what you are is a vibrational field. So if you can create a vibrational field with artificial intelligence that is vibrating externally in the same form, range that a human body is, because basically it's a biological computer human body, but what's animating it is different to what animates us, then I'm going to decode you, or I'm going to decode this artificial intelligence, just like the lady in the red dress in the Matrix movie.
Exactly.
And she's going to look just like you and me. And I remember being in that ayahuasca state in 2003, and that female voice said to me, if you programmed a computer to abuse a child, would the computer have any emotional consequence for that, any emotional reaction? None. It would just do what it's programmed to do. And one of the most blatant things about these Illuminati bloodlines is they have no empathy. They have no ability to empathize with the consequences for others of their actions. That's why there are no limits. Pepper bombing Baghdad, to us, horrific, terrific emotional consequence. To them, nothing. Just like a computer, and they are like computers, and to a large extent, that's why they are. Some of them are so bright. My computer on my desk can work things out quicker than I can in some areas where it's just working out to a program. It has no wisdom, it has no empathy, it has no heart or consciousness, but on a mental level, it can work very quickly. And these people are very sharp mentally. There's no doubt about it. Some of these people are very sharp mentally, but they have no heart, no balancing qualities of consciousness. I'm convinced they're artificial intelligence. And when I look at someone like Kissinger, I mean, I see an artificial intelligence. that has been created by a very, very advanced knowledge, and it looks just like you and me because that's the way we decode it, you know. And we, you know, again, Bill, when you're talking about the rituals and what have you, what are the rituals doing? It's all about creating a vibrational field. They're creating an energetic environment that allows these interdimensional entities to move into this dimension, at least briefly. And what they're also doing is accessing, through these rituals, the vibrational level of reality, which is the prime level of reality which we decoded to this. So what they're doing on one level with these rituals, which they often do at vortex points, which are very powerful in affecting the vibrational state of the planet, and the lines of communication lines, that like meridian lines that we have in the body, the planet has, if they do a ritual where a lot of these lines meet, then the vibrational effect of that ritual is going out down these lines, and they're affecting us because we're being affected by that vibrational level, that prime level. So, and no doubt at all, they've got technology too that is creating disharmony within the vibrational level of this reality, which then will create disharmony here, you know. And the thing is, though, I remember this that scene in The Matrix, because people read things in different ways. I read Neo's journey as becoming conscious. I mean, I think that's probably what they meant, but that's the way I read it very powerfully. And there was a point where he's in a simulation with the Morpheus character, and Morpheus is explaining about the agents. Now, for agents, read people that you're talking about that have the ability to do incredible things within this reality because they understand how it works and they keep it from the people. Right. And people who watch The Matrix will remember the scene because the Agent Smith, is in freeze frame in this thing with a gun. And the Morpheus character says to Neo, people have emptied entire clips at them and hit nothing but air. But their strength and their speed is still based on a world based on rules. And because of that, they can never be as fast or as strong as you can be.
Right.
Because within this virtual reality, there are rules to the game. Some of them are called laws of physics and such like. Consciousness overcomes those laws, does not recognize them, is not entrapped by them. So as we become conscious, we move beyond the box that the controlling force is actually in. Because during my talks I put two boxes. One's got symbolically a reptilian on it, and a smaller one's got humans on it. What they've done, and the whole foundation of how it's been possible, because they're in a box, otherwise they won't be doing what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And if they're artificial intelligence, they're obviously in a box with a lid on that doesn't open. But they've managed to control human society by putting humans in a smaller box than they're in. Again, we come back, symbolic of the box, they're holding the ball on the bottom of the tank. As we become conscious, we go beyond their potential. And that's what they're terrified of.
Let me tell the story about Bill Burns and Admiral George Hoover. Don't know if you've heard this one, but we'd love to tell this one on camera. Okay. Bill Burns, Los Angeles-based editor of UFO magazine, talked to Admiral George Hoover from the Office of Naval Intelligence before he died, when he was an elderly man, and he had one of these turnaround experiences when he was very old, and he started to talk to Bill Burns about what was really going on. And Bill Burns wanted to know about things like the Roswell crash, all of this stuff. And one of the things that George Hoover told Bill Burns was that the Roswell crash, the visitors there were time travelers, there were us from the future, time-traveling future humans, which we've heard from other sources as well. And the most important thing, though, the biggest secret, was how powerful we are, the consciousness we have, the ability that we have. And Bill Burns' words from George Hoover was our ability to manipulate the consciousness around us. And if we started to do that, as far as the controllers were concerned, we would create havoc. And this is what must not be known. It must not be known how powerful we are. Because the time-traveling future humans use their consciousness in order to bridge these dimensions. And what these discs are, according to Hoover, and also according to Philip Corso, who wrote The Day After Roswell, was that they're amplifiers and focusing devices of consciousness, and the pilots are an integral part of the machine. And as any quantum physicist will tell you, its consciousness actually has the ability to determine whether Schrödinger's cat is alive or dead, whether to determine probabilistic quantum outcomes, to actually influence reality. You can't do quantum physics without taking account of consciousness. And therefore this means if you have a very high control and ability in that realm, it sort of bridges mind and consciousness. Then, just as great adepts are said to be able to do, you can bilocate. So, okay, so we'll do it all together, we'll do it in a craft, it'll help us, it'll amplify us, and this is what the crafts are. And this is why they were baffled when they opened up these things. They couldn't find an engine.
That female voice in the ayahuasca experience said to me, why do you fly in a plane when you're only flying through yourself? Right?
Exactly.
And what came to mind when you were talking there, Bill, was the carry-on of that scene in The Matrix with the Agent Smith, where we're saying, never be as strong and fast as you can be. And then the Neo character says, do you mean I'll be able to dodge bullets? No, Neo. When you're ready, you won't have to. Controlling your experience.
Yes.
You know, you're not going to have to dodge bullets. You're going to make sure no one ever shoots at you.
You aren't in a position where you have to dodge bullets. Yeah.
And you know, people have said to me so many times over the years, right from the early days, why aren't you dead? And it may sound, I can only say what I know deep inside. They can't. If we were coming to do something and all it took was for someone to shoot a bullet and when it's all over, what's the point? They can't. What I would say very strongly, and it's coming more and more into my life, there is an X factor which I don't understand yet, but I sure as hell know is there. And it's an X factor which is going to bring an end to this childish playground nonsense of human control.
Do you mean an external influence?
There's something. I absolutely, at a deep level, I know it. Whenever I think about it, whenever I think about what I'm talking about now, what I see clearly is the planet with a cell prison around it, and a big lock and a key going in. And I'll tell you a funny story. Well, a funny story, I'll tell you a story. I was feeling so strongly about this about 2 weeks ago. And immediately after I went on the internet and I'm looking for a picture for my talk. And in front of me was a planet in a prison cell with a big lock on it which said master on it and a key going in. And that X factor, that master key, it's coming, and it's not going to come like cavalry to save everything, but it is a big factor in, I'm absolutely convinced that the end of this prison society is a done deal. I think the outcome is going to happen. I think it's meant to happen. And we're now seeing, and it will go on for a while, but we're now seeing the last throes of a dying system where the Illuminati in their box are believing they're crashing the system to create something else, when it's actually crashing ultimately for another reason.
Is there a real danger because you've got a cornered tiger that at its most dangerous when it's cornered? Is that possible?
These people in their panic are going to thrash out in all bloody directions. You know, that's just part of this transition from where we are to where we're going. And the thing is that, you know, you can look at the news and you can see the conspiracy moving on. In Britain, it's just getting ridiculous. But what you don't see on the news, and therefore it's not in your awareness, is how fast the awakening from the amnesic sleep is moving on. And it's moving on dramatically quickly. And I'm not saying that tomorrow the sun's going to come up and everything's going to be fine. You know, we're deeply into a transitional period here, and there's going to be a lot of challenges, and this thing's going to move on further. But the outcome, I think, is a done deal. This is going down, and then we can start to create a new society based on consciousness values rather than the limitations of mind. And I would just say this, because I think this is important from my point of view. It's important. I think, you know, there's a great danger that this 2012 thing is going to be a massive, massive diversion.
It's a spiritual Y2K.
That's what I've called it, actually, a spiritual Y2K myself. And me, of all people, who saw a psychic in 1990 and was told that vibrational change was coming, I, of all people, should be saying, yeah, look, 2012, that's it, it's more evidence, the vibrational change, the transformation. I cannot sync with that at all. And what's slightly concerning is that the number of emails I get, and other people I know who have websites get, of people saying, what's the point of doing anything, because it's all going to change in 2012. I mean, that's like Obama selling hope, which is always the horse in front on the carousel. No matter how fast you go round, you never get closer to the horse in front. That's what hope does. What hope is, especially in the way Obama uses it, and what Y2K 2012 has the deep potential of becoming, is a holding position where people who could be doing something now just wait around. Again, what is 2012 symbolically? It's the cavalry coming.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Hey, the cavalry's here. It's not coming, it's here.
Right.
The cavalry needs to get on its horse, by the way, incidentally, and stop waiting for another one to come.
It's exactly. I mean, it's like Neo in the place where he is at, where he realizes that he has the ability to become all that is, and therefore bullets pass through him because he's no longer there.
Right.
He's actually everywhere, and that, in a sense, I mean, I know it's words, but in a sense that is the key that we all hold. And what's happening, in a sense, is with the wave, there's actually a facilitation that's happening. We've been told by various people, but one in particular, Jake Simpson, who has been on the inside, talks about, regardless of how you view the future, this wave of energy is actually coming towards our planet, or you could view it as our planet solar system is moving into this energy. It is coming. So it's like if you're surfing and you know a wave is coming, there's whole groups of people on the planet getting ready to ride the wave. And so in a sense, they have to have the key in order to ride the wave. In a sense, you could say the surfboard, the consciousness, the key to understanding who they are and what consciousness really is, and how they're united, which is part of the key.
Yeah.
Because we are united. You see, if we know that we are everywhere, then, and we're totally linked up. See, I'm in this body right now, you're in that body right now, and between us looks like there's empty space. But in reality, this is consciousness. This space is incorporated. So there is actually no break between you and I and Bill here. We're all in this sea of consciousness.
The three tips of the same iceberg.
That's why, you know, becoming conscious is the bottom line of everything. If we don't become conscious and move into these realms of understanding the sort of stuff you're talking about, that we're all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively, life is only a dream, and you know, matter is just you know, energy condensed to a slow vibration, as Bill Hicks used to say. unless we come from this perspective, then what's the key